Hi, this is a tutorial into using Thinglink. It's actually my first time using Thinglink, so I'm not sure how good of a tutorial it will be. It probably would be very useful for you just to play around with Thinglink yourself as you get started on the assignment. I am actually waiting for Teachers College to give me access to an educator's account so that I can create a course page for us. I'm hoping that I'll have that by Monday or Tuesday to be able to give you a code for you to do your Thinglink within a course setting. In any case, once I get that, hopefully on Monday, I would be able to show you in class. So this assignment, the next assignment, Cartographies of Language and Literacy, is meant to be more of a multimodal assignment. The details of it are listed on Canvas. I made one edit this morning in terms of more specific details around the assessment. But it is meant to be a multimodal assignment, which means it is not an essay, it is not a paper, which might be easier for some of you or more difficult, I don't know. But it is just a practice in, presenting the work differently. So let me get started with Thinglink. So the website you want to go to is thinglink.com/edu, and when you get there, you want to start an account. Okay. When you start your account, log in using your Columbia ID. So I've already done the initial login stuff, and I'm using my Columbia ID account. And once I get the access to the educator account, I should be able to make a course invite code and send that to you. So you would click here where it says course invite code, and you'd put in the invite code to be able to join the class. Okay, so right now I don't have that code. I decided to record this video before getting that code. Hopefully I will get that to you on Monday. So once you get started, what you're going to want to do is go to create, and you can create using any of these things, but I feel like the best thing for this would be an image. And I will, and it gives you a tutorial. So what I'm going to do is show you the image that I started creating for my Cartographies of Language and Literacy. So again, this assignment is where we are trying to look at how a child employs different linguistic or language or communication practices and the literacies that they develop as a result of that. So I'm going to choose for this, just because it's a fake thing that I'm doing right now, I'm going to choose myself. That would be a last resort. It's okay for you to choose yourself. I'm not going to penalize you. There's no best way to do it. If you don't have access to a child, or you feel like you don't want to trouble families that you're working with, that is totally okay. I would absolutely understand. So for my childhood, I'm going to look at the playground, which I've already put the image in here. I included a background image and then pushed it to the back, and then I include a playground image, but I also already prepared. Now my house when I was growing up did not look like any of these houses. All the houses that I look for in Google Images of a Vietnamese home look really nice. Mine was nice too, but it was definitely not like this. This is kind of fancy. So I just chose a random house. So you could choose real images. You could upload real images or use real images, or you could go onto Google Image and find images that are similar or that you would want to use for this. So I'm going to copy this image and put it into my document. This is not going to look great, and that's okay. Usually I worry about the aesthetics of things, but I'm going to let it go this time. So that's an image of my house, and then, a stand-in for my house. And then another thing I'm going to use is my uncle's kitchen, because or his house. Because when I was little, my aunt and uncle took care of me. And again, this is not a great image. I'm going to move this order to the back. Oops, it's all the way to the back, so that's not good. I'm going to move this to the front. Okay. Make this bigger so I don't see that. Okay, great. So I spent a lot of time at my aunt and uncle's house. So I'm going to use that setting. So these are the 3 spaces that I'm going to use. And actually, I think I might label these. So I'm going to pause this for now. Okay, I have put labels in all of these images. So the whole map is called Trans Childhood Spaces. One of the spaces inside our Vietnamese home. As I was growing up, I chose a time period when we lived in the apartment complex, so that was between like the age of 3 and I think we moved to 3 and 11. But I'm going to think more about, the age of 4 or 5 of my childhood, which is a long time ago. So I labeled these. I'm going to make an image of it, but literally by screenshotting. I'm not that fancy, so I'm just going to screenshot this. And there I've got the image that I'm going to import into Thinglink. So I'm going to drag this image and put it into Thinglink. So that's the image I'm going to work with to make my map. So once I upload it, there it is. And that's the image I'm going to use to tag. And I've put in the assignment details that you should include at least 4 substantial tags per space and 1 final analytic tag. So 4 substantial tags per space means you are detailing the specific language and communicative practices in those spaces and the literacy knowledges. And that you're also not just giving details of particular language practices or literacy knowledges, but that you're also tying it to course content. So as much as you can, you want to make connections to course readings, course discussions, things like that, okay? Sometimes you might not be able to make a direct connection, but something about the course should have informed your understanding of the tag that you're making. So I'm going to try to give you some examples. So I'm going to add a tag. I'm going to start with, let's start with my Vietnamese home, in my home with my family. So obviously in my home, not so obviously, my parents spoke to us in Vietnamese most of the time, and we spoke, or I spoke to my parents in Vietnamese as well when I was young, actually. As I got older, it started to be more English and Vietnamese, and then eventually, for me, primarily English, although I do speak a lot more Vietnamese at home than I think I do. In any case, once you add a tag, you can do a few things, and again, I would encourage you to just play around and be creative. This tutorial is not going to be very creative because I want to keep it short, but I think it will still be about 20 minutes. I'm going to add text and media for this. So here I might add, I would do it over here, and you can change the layout of the tag. So you could actually, the tag could look like one of these things. I'm not going to do any image for this first tag actually. I'm just going to do text. So I'm going to say Vietnamese, like something around being Vietnamese being heard and spoken in the house. So because I'm trying to do this really quickly so that the video isn't an hour long, this is not what I would actually do at the end, okay? You want to make it actually understandable by your peers and by me when I'm looking at it, because we are going to share this with each other. I'm going to add a description. So here's where I'm going to type, explain what this means. I'm going to explain how Vietnamese was spoken, like when it was spoken, in what ways. My parents used Vietnamese daily to communicate, blah, blah, blah. So I'll just explain a little bit more of that. So I could type, you know, a few sentences about that. I'm also going to add, I had found some Vietnamese text just to give a sense of what Vietnamese looks like. I think that's important. I'm going to close this. So I might add some text just to get to, I was going to say here, I also saw Vietnamese. I might actually add this as a different tag because I think listening and speaking Vietnamese in the home might be different from seeing Vietnamese print. So I'm going to leave it at that. And that would be my tag. So this one is a very simple text tag, and you can change the icon up here to anything that you want. So you might, so I'm going to look at this and see if there's one that would fit for this. Maybe there's one about sound or listening or talking or something. So let me just do, let me just use that one. I'm going to use that tag and say done. So there's the tag. I'm going to move it to Vietnamese home. I'm going to add another tag that has to do with the newspapers, the Vietnamese newspapers that I saw. So I'm going to Google Vietnamese newspaper and look for an image of that. Great. So I'm going to look for one that kind of represents more or less what I saw. It would be these right here. I think I'll use this image here. Save image as. So my save image as is not working. For some reason, I'm going to have to do this kind of like a hacky job of this. I'm going to just do an image of this. So here I would add the title of Vietnamese newspapers or something better, like a better title than this on the coffee tables or kitchen table, which was where it used to be. I'd write a description of what this tag is about. You know, I would describe my parents grabbing these newspapers at the Vietnamese grocery store, the Chinese grocery store, and they'd take it home and they'd read it, and I would watch them. I couldn't read, so I would explain a little bit more. I would also, forgot to include this in the last tag, make a connection to the course reading. For example, the Heath reading discusses, etc., etc. So the Heath reading was a recommended reading, and it was not required. However, it is an incredible reading that would allow you to make connections pretty easily. So I'm also going to include that file that I just collected, if I can. I'm going to try to look for it here. There it is. I'm going to see if I can drop it in here. No, I could not. That's all right. Okay, guess what? All these functions that are, my computer's not working in terms of uploading images and files, which is annoying. I will have to go get it fixed. But in the meantime, this was the last. Let me put these back in. Oh, well, I had chosen a different format actually. So I went up here to choose a different format, and I chose one where where the image would go on the side of the text. And again, I would put the description here, and then I would upload the image of the newspapers. Here I cannot do it, and the image would show up on the left-hand side. I'm going to change my icon again and look for something that has to do with like a newspaper or a magazine, some reading material. If that exists, it might not, but here's an office one, so I'm going to choose this icon, and I will move that into my home. So that's another icon. I would maybe add a tag around, okay, here's another tag out loud. I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to choose a different layout, just for fun. This one would be around this TV show that my parents watched a lot. And here I would say, you know, by watching this with my parents, I learned about the culture of popular music, etc., etc. So here is more of a literacy tag instead of a language necessarily, a language or communication tag. This tag has to do with what kind of knowledge I gained through exposure to these different language and communication tools and materials and artifacts. And I can also add here a video link. So this is what the TV show looked like. I will grab this link to this video. I would watch it first and see if it actually represents what I'm talking about. And then I would put the link here in button URL. So once that's added, folks can go in, when they go in here to look at this tag, they can click on that YouTube link to go to that show. I'm going to change the icon again to something that has to do with like music. I'm going to do a random one. So I'm going to use the bell. If there were a music one, I would choose that one. So there's the icon, and I will move it into my house. Okay, so for playground, I had actually saved an image of playground rules, and I would include an image of the playground rules and talk about the kind of knowledge that I had gained from knowing English, or kind of knowing English and playing on the playground. I might talk about what the ways that we spoke to each other on the playground in the apartment complex, using English primarily, because the children at the apartment complex were more English speaking. So there is where I would speak more English, for example. And then in my uncle's kitchen, where I spent time, he was white American. He taught me how to make German foods, and so I might include a picture of sauerkraut, which we used to make together, and write about the ingredients, like learning these ingredients and their English, the English words I would use to describe the food and describe cooking, that sort of thing. So I know that maybe wasn't very helpful, but the idea is that you're putting an image up in Thinglink, creating these tags so that, you know, myself and others can go and tour these spaces that you, or the child that you examined, the language and communication practices that this particular person that this map represents is using, and what kinds of knowledge they get through that. Once you're done, you click done, and typically, so what you want to do is make sure that the privacy settings are, well, once I get the actual course link, you would be able to change your privacy settings to public. Right, so here you would be able to change it to public with the educator account that I would have. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. I'm going to go through this in class too, so don't worry if you don't get it through this video, which was kind of chaotic and a hot mess. But I will talk to you in class about this tomorrow, and I will see you then. Bye.